On today's show, what's your favorite team in the NBA? They played tonight. Let's talk about that. And KD going off at the end on today's Locked On NBA Game Night. Let's go.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
And welcome. You are Locked On to NBA Game Night. My name is Nick Angstadt, host of the Locked On Mavericks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being an everydayer, making Locked On NBA your first listen today. Today's episode is sponsored by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use that code Locked On NBA for $20 off your first purchase. And joining me, as always, from the great Locked On Bucks podcast, Camille Davis. I'd say what you got for me, but we ain't got time for that today. Let's get right into 15 games tonight. Yes, every single team played in the NBA, and if you've ever listened to Locked On NBA Game Night, you know it's every game, every night. That's what we're going to do. Let's get right into our slate tonight. The Sixers face off against the Suns, and we got a Phoenix Suns win that came down to the wire. Kevin Durant went absolutely nuts in this one at the end. Let's hear from our guy, Ben Garcia from Locked On Suns.
Suns moved to 6-1 and spoiled the Philadelphia 76er debut of Paul George tonight. And more specifically, Kevin bleepin' Durant spoiled the return for Paul George tonight, just as all hope seemed lost as the Suns got down 110-115. They called upon their future first ballot Hall of Famer, and in my opinion, top 10 basketball player of all time, Kevin Durant, sauces up the Sixers defense and puts them on his back and wins this game for the Phoenix Suns. Some honorable mentions.
Sorry, I don't care about the honorable mentions. The Phoenix Suns, though, get a win. Sorry, Ben. Phoenix Suns get a win. The Sixers were up by 9 with 5 minutes left in this game. Kevin Durant scores 12 points to end the game after that moment, and the Suns take a lead with a minute left. That was a 14-3 run to end the game. Kevin Durant is like one of the best players in the NBA to start this season so far, Camille.
One of the best players to start the season. One of the best players, period. Like, he is just amazing, and they needed him to be. Because I don't even think Bradley Beal attempted a shot in the fourth quarter. And Book was like 0 for 4, 0 for 5 in the fourth quarter as well. They deferred to KD, and it's understandable why. He really had it going, and he carried them to victory in this game.
It's wild to see him and to see him at 36 to play all these minutes. I've mentioned it every time we do a Suns game, how many minutes he's played. He played 38 again in this one, took 20 shots. But 35 points, he carried them in a really huge moment in this one. And it is pretty great to see how good this Suns team is, because they struggled last year at times. And then in the playoffs, we saw how they struggled there. But the addition of Tyus Jones, they round out the rotation with Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal coming off the bench. Ryan Dunn only played 10 minutes, but he's been really good for them this season. And then just having their big three, having Beal, Durant, Booker, Nurkic is able to play in this one. He's had mostly bad games, but has had a couple of good games, one against the Mavericks that I saw, and then this one against the Sixers when it was just Andre Drummond with his 15 minutes there. But the Suns, really, really good to start the season so far. They've proven me right when I put them in the top 5 category when we did our NBA previews. I feel vindicated on that one.
As you should. I mean, I get why people were skeptical about the Suns, but when I saw that they had Mike Budenholzer in the building, I was like, he's a floor raiser. Like, jokes aside, well, Mike Budenholzer, but like he raises the floor, he establishes the culture, and then they added a point guard. And it feels as if also with that Olympic summer with Book and KD, they were able to kind of get some more experience playing together, when to defer and when to let somebody cook. And again, tonight they let KD cook.
Absolutely did. And he cooked them, and he cooked the Sixers, but the Sixers get Paul George back, which is notable. Let's hear from our host, Kayla Santiago from Locked On Sixers.
60 seconds or less, let's talk about the Philadelphia 76ers having Paul George back for the first time in the regular season. They had him during the preseason. He makes his debut here tonight against the Phoenix Suns. I am pleasantly surprised. I thought the Sixers didn't even have a chance of winning this game. They were in it until the end. Now, Kelly Oubre fouling out really hurt them in the end. The Suns get that offensive rebound. KD goes back up with it, gets the essential game winner. They drive back down the court. Paul George misses the two to tie it. Yabusele gets the rebound. Tyrese Maxey gets it in his hands with time expired. It was a good game, though. You look at it, Tyrese Maxey hit his 5,000th career point. Let's go, Tyrese. And he was feeling it, putting the three up. He had the hot hand. And Gershon Yabusele, I loved what I seen from him tonight. He was able to get 5 threes, and that's huge for the big fella, especially in the absence of Joel Embiid. Him working with Paul George, I actually really liked on the pick and roll, too. Let me know what you guys think. Sixers fall 118-116.
What did you see from Paul George and the Sixers, Camille?
I saw a team that looked like it made a little bit more sense with Paul George in the game. He got off to a slow start, but you saw him warm up in the second quarter. And to Kayla's point about Yabusele, I wonder if
dancing bear.
Listen, when Embiid is healthy, I wonder if he becomes like that de facto backup center. We only saw 15 minutes for Drummond tonight. Could be in part because the Suns are playing a little bit smaller, but if Yabusele can give you that 19, 6 and 6, like off the bench, you might want to keep rolling with that.
They were giving him like late 3-point attempts too, which I found absolutely wild. But yeah, Paul George getting his first game there, just 15 points for him on 4 of 14 from the field. But we'll see what happens with them going forward and eventually when Embiid ever comes back. The Dallas Mavericks fall to the Indiana Pacers, and Camille, it's almost like I watched this game 9 months ago because the Mavs lost a game to the Pacers 130-110 in February, where Miles Turner had his season high 33 back that last season, and it felt like the exact same game that I watched these two teams play. Except for the Mavericks offense was able to keep up in this one. Their defense could absolutely not keep up in any way. Derek Lively was a late scratch in this game because of a shoulder strain that they say happened before the game. I was watching his warm-up. I didn't really see anything that led to it. He did fall really hard in the game yesterday against the Magic, and so that's something maybe to watch out. But without him, the Mavs went small a lot. We have not seen this Mavs team go small very often, and they went PJ Washington at the 5, Najee Marshall at the 4, Clay, Luka, Kyrie, Dinwiddie was in there sometimes, and they really went small against this Pacers team because Miles Turner was stretching the floor out. He was hitting a bunch of shots. He went 5 of 8 from 3, 10 of 17 from the field. Miles Turner was everywhere. It felt like hitting jumpers all over the place. But this Mavs team defensively just could not keep up with the Pacers and could not stop them and couldn't even keep guys in front of them. Like for 1 or 2 dribbles, it felt like, and it really maybe highlighted some issues with the Mavs, but there's not many teams that play like this Pacers team, right? Like that struggle with the offense the way that the Pacers do.
Yeah, trust me, I know all about that one, given the fact I cover the Bucks and everything like that. But no, they push the pace. It's in the name, but they really do push the pace after a make, after a miss. It does not matter. They are trying to get the ball and go. But a question for you, because the Pacers did make you guys have to play small in this game. With Gafford trying to be on the perimeter, holding Miles Turner, and not working too well in this game, forcing you guys to go small. Do you have any concerns about Gafford going forward, especially if it's a situation where he's going to have to play like a shooting big man?
I would have concerns about Gafford, but we saw this play out in the playoffs last year where Gafford starts. He is this like the ceremony, the Dwight Powell ceremonial starting spot. And then he gets pulled and Lively goes in, and Lively's the one that can switch. Lively's the one that can defend on the perimeter. He's one of the best defenders, maybe the best defender on this team. PJ Washington's been great this season so far, but he's the one that can do some of these things. If he would have played, I think they would have won this game. Honestly, I think he's that impactful. I think he could have guarded Miles Turner like that. I think he could have switched a little bit and given them just a little bit more perimeter defense, actually, which is wild to think that your second-year center is going to give you some perimeter defense. But I think that would happen. But a really good win for the Pacers, who needed one here. Benedict Mathurin gets some really late, get some really clutch shots late, which are awesome. Halliburton gets maybe his like let's get going game, 25 points, 12 assists for him, but only 2 of 8 from 3. Got some shots to go and even a couple of mid-range shots to go late. Mm-hmm. Really good win for the Pacers. They'll take that one. The Mavs will move on, and we'll see if these defensive issues continue to raise their ugly heads later in the season. Coming up, so many more games to get to, Camille. You have no idea. Still a bunch more games. The Rockets get a big win against the Knicks. They're now 4-3 wins against the Knicks, the Mavs, and the Grizzlies. Is that something or nothing? We'll tell you. Coming up. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by Built. Everybody has issues with renting at some point in their life. You start renting and all of a sudden you're just in the race. You're going through and you're like, man, I don't feel like I'm paying into anything. frustrating? You're just burning cash with all the rent checks. It's frustrating. You don't know how to get ahead. Well, Built is breaking ground as a neighborhood rewards program that hooks you up with points on your rent every month. You pay rent and watch the Built points roll in. Use points to jet off on a dream vacation. Put points towards a flight or a hotel. With 500 airlines, I didn't even know there were 500 airlines. I'm not gonna lie. 700,000 hotels and properties that you can get to as well with these points. You can use your points to book fitness classes, redeem them on payment towards future rent, which is wild too. So you can pay hassle-free with the Built Rewards app. Your rent game just got a major upgrade. Earn points by paying rent right down to it. Join built.com/lockedon. That's join built, JOINBILT.com/lockedonnba. Make sure to use our URL so you know that we sent you. Join built.com/lockedonnba to start earning points with your rent payment today. Also, I want to tell you about one of my favorites. It's Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use that code LOCKEDONNBA, and you too can go see any one of these games that happen. Every single team played tonight. And if your team is playing tonight, then that means you can go to a game somewhere this season and you can use Game Time to go get there. See what is available for you in your area. Check out the all-in pricing. It's a feature that you just turn on and toggle to see exactly what you're going to pay at checkout. At the beginning, gotta love that. Also gotta love the views from your seats to see a panoramic view. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use that code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem that code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. All right, Camille, let's get back into these games tonight. So 15 games on the slate tonight. Let's get into the Rockets versus the Knicks, who played a really, really good game. Let's talk through and let's hear from Jackson Gatlin of Locked On Rockets how the Rockets came up with this win.
Defensive win against the New York Knicks. The Houston Rockets get the gritty defensive win against the New York Knicks, 109-97. Ime Udoka threw Dylan Brooks on Karl Anthony Towns in this game, and Cat was so frustrated with DB. Couldn't get anything going, just 7 of 17 shooting for him in this game. He was in foul trouble at one point. Rough night for Cat. And then Amin Thompson off the Houston Rockets bench did a fantastic job guarding Jalen Brunson throughout this game, including in that fourth quarter, limiting him considerably. Brunson had 29 points, but it took 24 shots for him to get there. The story of this game, though, was the breakout performance from Alperen Şengün, who had been slumping considerably to start this season, was not where he was at kind of expectations after getting the new 5-year contract, but he broke out in this game, 25 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists, looked a lot more like the Alperen Şengün from last season. A welcome sight to see him rounding back into form, and a huge win for the
Camille, something or nothing. The Rockets now have wins against the Knicks, the Mavericks, and the Grizzlies. They're 4-3. Şengün maybe had his coming out party today. Something or nothing.
Something. The Rockets are going to be a feisty team this season, I think. They're going to be a team. I think I had them in the play-in, just in that competition there. So they're going to bring it night in and night out. I think it's something to this Rockets team.
My co-host on Locked On Mavs, when we did board bets before the season, he had the Rockets as the 6th seed in the West, and I thought he was insane. I did not have the Rockets in there. I think I had them in the play-in, but yeah, this team is looking really good. Jalen Green only had 15 points. He's been really good this season, but if they can have a game where he doesn't play that well, Şengün steps out and they still get a win, that's absolutely massive. And Amin Thompson, 12 points, 9 rebounds off the bench. He's been pretty good to start the season. So I think this is something. I think the Rockets are definitely something interesting. They're an interesting matchup team, and so I'm curious to see how they play against some other teams, but we can we'll monitor that going forward. Something for the Rockets. We'll take that. Mm-hmm. The Milwaukee Bucks, without Giannis, Damian Lillard leading the way. No Middleton, obviously, had a chance, Camille, at the end there to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cavs stay unbeaten, and Max Strus is out for this game. But the thing for the Bucks now, Camille, since 1970, 150 NBA teams have started 1 or 6 or worse. Just 12 of those teams made the playoffs to end the season. Is that something or nothing for the Milwaukee Bucks now?
It's something, but it's also something to be somebody who can set some history, to make your own way. I'm not giving up on the Bucks, and I'm sure those other teams didn't have 2 top 75 players on the team at the same time. They just got to get healthy, and then they can make something happen, I think.
Why couldn't the Bucks pull this game out in the end?
A fourth quarter lull for the Bucks. They had a bench unit that was really getting it going for them, where they had Ryan Rollins in the game, their two-way guy. They had AJ Green. They had Andre Jackson Jr. in the game, and they were really making some hay. Dame comes back in and the offense starts going through Bobby Portis, although some of the matchups weren't favorable for him to be posting up Mobley, like just doesn't make sense. And you see Dame in the back like, yeah, Bob, cook him. And it's like, no, you take the ball. You got Donovan Mitchell on you, Dame. Like,
Bob
cook
Port.
this man. So it just was a lull in the fourth quarter. Too little, too late for the Bucks. They had I think the Cavs had a 10-0 run during that stretch, and it was just kind of hard for the Bucks to get back in that one.
Team that didn't really have a lull in the fourth quarter. The Detroit Pistons get a win against the Los Angeles Lakers. Let's hear from Kuka Hill of Locked On Pistons.
Detroit Pistons got what might have been the most important, the best,
He's
the
so
most
happy.
value,
I love
the
Coop.
most important. Just their best win maybe in 3 years. Host of Locked On Pistons podcast, Kuka Hill here. The Detroit Pistons just beat the Los Angeles Lakers. And yes, LeBron James played. Yes, Anthony Davis played. Yes, they played in the second half. No, they did not play in the second half of a back-to-back. They weren't resting guys. The Detroit Pistons went out there and shut the Lakers down and sent them back to L.A. with another L in their name. They're going back to L.A., L-A-L-L. Thanks to the Pistons in this game, in LCA. The Pistons played tremendous from the get-go, and the Lakers tried to come back in the second half. Cut the lead to 6, cut the lead to 7 in the fourth quarter. And for a team that hasn't been able to close out games over the last few years, they did it a few games ago. Sounds like they got the monkey off their back because they were able to slam the door shut on a perennial contender and a team that believes they can win the NBA Finals. Tremendous win. Kudos player of the game goes to Jane Ivey. Tremendous team win from the Pistons.
Shout out to the Detroit Pistons. However, story came out from Dave McMenamin after the game. Anthony Davis has not been ruled out of the Lakers game against the Grizzlies. However, those sources cautioned with left foot issue that's been plaguing AD from the end of last season through the Olympics. It will truly be a day-to-day situation. Camille, is that something or nothing?
That's something. Given Anthony Davis's injury history, you got to keep an eye on it. He's been dominant so far this season. Came into the game averaging a league best 32 points a game. Like, he's been hooping, and he has been the engine for this team. So if they're going to be without AD for a while, it's going to be tough.
AD has legitimately been an MVP candidate this season.
Yes.
Like, he has been so good for them. And so this is through the foot injury or this ankle or whatever issue it is, but he's been doing it through he had it last season through the Olympics. Is wild to me. This is absolutely something. It's something to monitor going forward if this ends up being something bigger. And we know with Anthony Davis, it always ends up being something bigger at some
Unfortunately.
point. It does.
Unfortunately.
Speaking of something bigger, let's hear from Locked On Raptors host Sean Woodley. The Raptors lose to the Nuggets, but some good signs for the Raptors.
The Nuggets figure out how to handle Dick. Sean Woodley here, Locked On Raptors, talking about a 121-119 narrow loss for the Raptors. The second time since last Monday that a Raptors-Nuggets game has been decided by a missed R.J. Barrett 3 at the buzzer. Last week it was overtime. This time around, at the end of regulation, it was halfway down. Just popped out. Would have been absolutely bananas if it went down. The Raptors probably deserved this game. They were awesome. They were super fun, super invigorated. Defended really sharply for the first half. Things fell a little bit apart in the second half defensively, as it's going to happen with Nikola Jokic when he's doing his thing. Jakob Poeltl fouled out with 4 minutes left. I thought it was over then, and the Raptors kept pace. They really, really gave it all in this one.
He's going to talk about Grady Dick. I want to talk about Grady Dick. 26 points, 10 of 20 from the field, meaning he had 8 twos, which is not something we thought Grady Dick would do.
Yeah.
He's been absolutely awesome this season to watch so far. It's been wild to see how good he's been to start this season compared to last year.
Truly has been. I did not expect that from him in this game, and he's a large reason as to why they were able to hang into this one, because this is the second time that they have taken the Nuggets to the edge. Like, let me ask you something or nothing, Nick. Denver struggled against Toronto twice now. Is that something or nothing?
This is something to me. This is Sean mentioned it, that it was an RJ Barrett shot away from the Nuggets losing to this Raptors team. And this Raptors team was missing a bunch of dudes, like half their roster. Olynyk was out, Emmanuel Quickley, Scotty Barnes, their best player, Bruce Brown. Like, so many guys were missing in this game. And yeah, there was no Jamal Murray for the Nuggets. But this is something that the Nuggets just keep struggling with some of these teams. I guess that, like, they keep winning, and I guess that's okay. They're like, all right, as long as they keep afloat. But you've got in the West, it can stack up on you real quick. This is something to me.
Which I think it is, because I mean, it goes to show, like, this is a Rockets or a Raptors team that most aren't expecting that much of, as you mentioned, decimated by injuries for the most part in this game, and for them to hang with the Nuggets all the way through with a game-winning shot that goes in and out. Like, it's a little something here. Keep an eye on the Nuggets and how they continue over the next 10 games or so.
Absolutely something. Is it something or nothing that the Blazers keep beating the Pelicans? Let's hear from Mike Richmond of Locked On Blazers.
The Trailblazers found their secret weapon a couple nights after nearly engineering an improbable comeback against the Suns. Delano Banton does it again. Delano Banton. That's the name we're talking about tonight. Blazers win 118-100, and Delano Banton checks in to start the fourth quarter, just like he did on Saturday night. Sits for 3 quarters, checks in the fourth. Blazers down 3 in New Orleans against a ragtag group of Pelicans, and all DB Hooper does is put up 20 points on 8 of 9 shooting and engineer a comeback. He got to the rim. He hit 3-pointers. He threw a lob. He did everything. Delano Banton is the Blazers' secret. I don't know, but he's the secret. That's all I got.
I love Mike so much. Delano Banton legitimately played just the fourth quarter, 20 points in the fourth quarter. Is this something or nothing? And then now the Blazers have beaten the Pelicans twice out of 3 times so far now. Something or nothing, Camille.
Now, it's something in the sense of, like, we might need to see more of him going forward for sure. Now, in regards to the matchup between the Pelicans and the Blazers, with the Blazers getting 2 of the first 3 matchups, already 3 matchups between these 2 teams, I wouldn't say there's too much in that one, given the fact, especially in this game, New Orleans was down 6 of their 7 best players. No Zion, not Jordan Hawkins, no Herb Jones, no CJ McCollum, no Trey Murphy, no DeJounte Murray. It's a tough sled to go against.
Was a ragtag group.
Yeah, little tidbit, but not too much on that. But there might be something, given the fact that they might have found something with not Barton.
Delano Banton.
There you go. See, I'm learning them too. This is all
the coach didn't even know who he was till the fourth quarter. He had called him in and had to play. Coming up, let's get into one of the great games of the night: the Kings versus the Heat. Did Sabonis just prove that he's better than Bam Adebayo? We'll talk about that and more coming up. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook has all kinds of props and odds, things that you can use to get in on the action. It's America's #1 sportsbook. Go see what is available for you. We're about to talk about the 6th Man of the Year odds with Naz Reid. He's plus 1,000 to win that award again. Peyton Pritchard is the leader right now, plus 400. Buddy Hield, plus 700. He's been great for the Warriors. Malik Monk for the Kings, who we'll talk about here in a second, plus 800. Benedict Mathurin, plus 900 for the Pacers. We talked about him. He was pretty good tonight. Go see what else is available. And right now, if you put down $5, you can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 wins. So go check that out. Again, FanDuel.com to join today. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook of the NFL. We also want to talk to you about Hims. Guys, your sex life is important. Your schedule is busy. You don't have time to go to a doctor's office to get treated for ED. Through Hims, you can get personalized ED treatment without ever stepping foot out of your door. That is something that I would probably rather do instead of having to talk about it. Hims provides access to a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments like chewables, hard mints, Viagra, Cialis, and other generics for up to 95% cheaper. Insane. 95% cheaper. That's almost 100. Just answer a series of questions on their site, and a medical provider will determine the right treatment opportunity. If prescribed, your medication ships directly to you in discreet packaging for free. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon, HIMS.com/lockedon for your personalized ED treatment options. hims.com/lockedon. Products mentioned are chewable compounded products which are not approved for or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply for prescription. See website for details and more important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Big chicken, baby.
Zion Williamson and porn star.
Take that from that.
Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up.
Going through the rest of the slate in the NBA tonight, it's Counted Up, where we count out the most interesting, fun things in the NBA, including the Sacramento Kings getting a win on a last-second buzzer beater by Domantas Sabonis. Matt George of Locked On Kings added me on Twitter and said, really rough night for the Bam Adebayo is way better than Domantas Sabonis crowd. I'll at you directly at Nick Van Exit on Twitter. I'll ask you, Camille, though.
Count it up.
Did Sabonis prove he's better than Bam tonight?
one game does not prove a player better than the other, but it goes to show how close it is between those two. I tend to give Bam the edge because of the defensive versatility that he can bring to the game, but yeah, Sabonis is a bad boy, especially with the way he controlled the offense in so many different factors.
Yeah, 16 points, 16 rebounds, 7 assists for Sabonis, and the game winner that we mentioned as well. 37, almost 38 minutes for him. Bam Adebayo, no slouch though. 16 points, 8 boards, 5 assists, 3 steals, 4 blocks. Yeah. Josh Lloyd be loving that stat line right there. So yeah, I don't know that Sabonis proved that he's better in this game, but he had a better game than Bam in this one. Absolutely, it was a rough night if you think that. So, but big win for the Sacramento Kings, who keep needing to find wins and put wins together. And another bad night for Drake because DeMar DeRozan had a good game. The Boston Celtics get another win, another 30-point lead. Jan, let's hear from John Corrales of Locked On Celtics.
The Celtics get the easy 123-93 win in Atlanta to wrap up their road trip. Jason Tatum, 28 points. He hit the first 6 of 8 3-pointers that he took. Then he missed 6 in a row. The Celtics had an early 3-point barrage that kind of buried the Atlanta Hawks. Derek White had 21. This looked to be kind of a sloppy track meet sort of game. The Hawks went on an early second quarter run that gave them a 3-point lead. The Celtics defense looked terrible. They were allowing a ton of points in the paint and shots at the rim. And then the Celtics whipped off a casual 34-9 run to take control of the game by halftime. The second half was just cruising. Not much there in the second half. A couple of, fun things in garbage time, Jaden Springer and Jordan Walsh, but Celtics get the easy win in Atlanta. They hold Trae Young to 2 points. So big win. Now they come home to face the Golden State Warriors, a team that has been circled on the calendar after Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown's exclusion from Team USA. Jaylen Brown missed the Atlanta game with a hip flexor. We'll see if he'll be available for this next one.
The Charlotte Hornets got beat by the Minnesota Timberwolves in their game, and Naz Reid off the bench for the Timberwolves. 25 points to lead the Timberwolves. 25 points for him. And I have a question for you. 6th man of the year. Naz Reid plus 1,000. 6th man of the year. Here are the 4 players that are ahead of him. Tell me if you'd rather take Naz Reid for 6th man right now instead of these others. Benedict Mathurin.
Give me Nas.
Malik Monk.
Ooh.
Plus 800.
Ooh, let me stay with Nas after this one.
Okay. Buddy Hield plus 700 with the Warriors.
Give me Buddy on that one.
It's not gonna Buddy.
Give me Buddy on
I don't think that one's gonna last. And then the favorite in the clubhouse right now on FanDuel, Peyton Pritchard plus 400.
He's terrorized the Bucks this year. I can see how he's on this list. But no, I don't think Peyton stays up there.
I was surprised Nas was low on this, but a really good game for him and a win for the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Utah Jazz against the Chicago Bulls. The Jazz get the win with Lauri Markkanen out, Clarkson out, Taylor Hendricks still out, Lonzo Ball out for the Bulls. My question is, first win of the season for the Jazz, how many more do they get?
They get at least, the West is tough. They get at least 20 wins. They get at least 20.
20. Okay, so they're not the Pistons last year. They at least get.
Listen, I know they're trying to get Cooper Flag and everything like that. So they're going to, if they start doing too well, I can see the Jazz trying to walk some things back to make sure that they don't do too much well after that.
Listen, stuff was going too well for David Locke over there at Locked On Jazz. He just needed to go through this, have a trying time. It was all going too well for him. The Memphis Grizzlies lose to the Brooklyn Nets, a game where John Morant has just some absolutely wild highlights that you need to go watch. But let's hear from Adam Armbrecht of Locked On Nets about the win.
Out the brooms in Brooklyn as the Nets take care of the Memphis Grizzlies for the second time this season, for the last time this season, winning it 2-0 overall, 106-104 on the night at the Clays. And it's the perfect combination here, even though we can't quite wrap our head around the fact that the Nets are just playing winning basketball under Jordi Fernandez in what's supposed to be a tank year. Key veteran performances. Dennis Schroeder and Cam Johnson combined for 40 overall, 20 apiece right down the middle. And it's Schroeder in the late game sequences gets the high pick and roll action, screen set there by Claxton, works it downhill, gets to the baseline, quick up and under scoop. Veteran poise when you need it. Dorian Finney-Smith has struggled from beyond the arc for this season, but 5 of 8 on the night, key contributor there. And then Jordi Fernandez gave the word. Young players stepping up here. Cam Thomas, when they're taking away some of your shots, when they're hounding you, you got to set up others. 6 assists, season high for him. And Jalen Wilson coming in off the bench, continuing to grow off his MVP performance in the Summer League. He gives you the 13, 6, and 4 line. All of these guys working together, young, old, veteran, future, present. It's happening for Brooklyn right now. And even if we have to figure out if we're ruining the long-term projections, at least for tonight, that's another win in the bank, baby, and another great team performance for the Nets.
You gotta love when a host comes to terms with, hey, this was fun. This could be ruining everything we've ever built.
That's the joys of playing without expectations, because you expect to lose, so the wins are just like this cherry on top, and then you'll be like, oh wait, but draft positioning, got to kind of balance that.
Team that expects to win is the Oklahoma City Thunder. They beat the Magic tonight, and they're 7-0. My question is, how long does it last? Their next games, get ready for this slate: Denver, Houston, Golden State, the Clippers, the Pelicans, the Suns, the Mavs. That is their next slate of games. How many more wins do they rattle off here?
Before their first loss. Now, if Denver comes out and gets a dub, like, they're going to show like, hey, listen, don't worry about the Raptors, y'all. That's just a bad matchup for us for some reason. But I could honestly see them beating Denver. I could see them beating Houston. Golden State's a tricky one. Golden State's been playing pretty well. I could see them kind of coming in. And
Houston is no slouch.
That is true too. And then the Clippers as well, like in that stretch. At the latest, it's going to be that November 15th Phoenix game. I could see that loss coming at the latest.
Wow, that's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That'd be 12-0 to start the season. That'd be wild. That's too much good things for Ryland Styles, Locked on Thunder, for him to happen. The Warriors, we just talked about them. They got a win against the Wizards tonight. It was the Jordan Poole revenge game in a way. The Warriors went up big, and then Jordan Poole had the Wizards coming back at a certain point in that game, made it close late. Jordan Poole, if you haven't seen this video, it's all over Twitter right now. Jordan Poole hits a 3 right in Draymond Green's face. Draymond Green turns around to go run back to the other end of the court, and Jordan Poole does like almost the Mikal Bridges like gun like celebration, but points right at Draymond Green's head. My question for you, Camille, is how many games would Draymond Green have been suspended if he did the thing he actually wanted to do when he was looking at Jordan Poole pointing at him like that?
Let's see. Poole did a 3-point point at him. I'd say that Draymond would be out for at least 3 games if he got to do what he really wanted to do in that situation. At least 3.
Give me 20.
Not 20. Not a 20 ball. Jesus.
I think he tries to make him bleed. No, but another good win for the Warriors. Steph Curry gets his return. And yeah, just that team just keeps on rolling. They got a bunch of dudes. Steve Kerr seems to be pulling all the right levers. John Corrales earlier did mention that Tatum and Brown are rearing for their revenge game coming soon. So I'm interested to see how that one plays out for the Warriors too.
Let's see how strength and numbers go for the Warriors against that Boston Celtics team.
Absolutely. Last game of the night, we made it. The Spurs lose to the Clippers. The Spurs blew a 26-point lead in this one. The Clippers, a win for them. Good comeback win for a team like that. But I want to talk about Victor Wembanyama, as many do. Victor Wembanyama, 9 blocks in this game, which leads me to the question. When do we get a quadruple double from Wemby? There's only been 4 in recorded history.
Yeah, they're not easy to do. The assist numbers for Wemby is the piece where I'm like, that's come up a bit for him. I think he's had 1 game with 10. He's had a few with 7, but I'll say like next year. Like, I think next year we get a Wemby quadruple double game.
The 4, by the way, David Robinson, Hakeem Olajuwon, Alvin Robinson, Nate Thurmond. Of course, there's probably some by Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, but they didn't record blocks and steals back then. So, but yeah, Victor Wembanyama, 9 blocks, an amazing fantasy night. I think I looked at the stats on NBA.com. If you use that, he had 78 fantasy points tonight. Luka was second with the almost 69, which is like
Wemby's unreal.
Absolutely wild night. Speaking of a wild night in the NBA, we got through every single game, and let us know in the comment section what team you're representing, what's your favorite team, and let us know all that, guys. We'll be back with more. Go check out Locked On NBA Daily with Doug and Matt and Hayes. Great stuff from them all the time. Go check out Locked On Bucks with Camille and Justin. Locked On Mavs with me and Isaac. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On NBA.